Hello, and welcome to another episode of Susfaction.
Today is a Kyle-centric episode, and I'm Kyle,
And I'm Isella,
and
and we're
we're
your
your hosts.
hosts.
Okay, so today we got a couple things going on. Do you
Okay.
want to say something?
Yeah, just we're not doing this all the time, but like current cryptid events. um, since March 6th, 2026, Northeast Ohio has experienced an unprecedented flap of activity with 6 high credibility Bigfoot sightings reported.
Ooh,
I know. I was like, what? It said it happened in 4 days. So, it says investigators from the Bigfoot Society and the Bigfoot Mapping Project are tracking a clear eastward migration pattern through an ecological corridor stretching from Portage County to Trumbull County. So, like up near Cleveland area. Reported sightings March 6th at 12:23 p.m. in Montua Center, Portage County. A cryptid researcher reported locking eyes with a 9-foot tall brown male figure standing 120 yards away in broad daylight. The creature reportedly retreated at high speed once noticed.
the veil is just getting thinner and thinner.
I know, right? March 7th at 10:52 p.m. in that same area in Portage County, a hiker reported heavy rhythmic footsteps and a deep echoing grunt before spotting an 8-foot tall figure with long arms and dark brown hair. Large footprints were later found in the mud at the site.
Oh my gosh, this is good.
I know. And then March 9th, there were 2 sightings, one at 11:47 a.m. and one at 6 p.m. The first one in Headwaters Trail, Garrettsville. The witnesses observed an 8 to 10-foot figure with a stilts-like gait. That means like the footsteps, how
Yeah,
wide they are, and a powerful musky odor.
sounds like Bigfoot or the skunk ape.
Right, or
We
skunk.
got a lot. I think Ohio has skunk ape sightings, right?
Um,
What's Ohio known for? Is it Bigfoot?
it's Bigfoot, yeah, in that
Okay,
area because our proximity to Pennsylvania.
right.
Yeah. Wyndham Portage County,
I
a
mean, it has
resident
sometimes.
reported a 6-foot tall figure. That's not too tall.
No, a baby Bigfoot.
Impossibly long stride running across a neighbor's property. Yeah, it was running and it was not very big. It was probably like an adolescent or baby
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Newton Township, March 10th, 4 a.m., Trumbull County. A resident letting their dog out encountered a massive black shadow, estimated between 8 to 10 feet tall, crashing through the brush. The witness's German Shepherd reportedly lunged aggressively toward the wood line.
Wow.
So I just thought that was really exciting and I wanted to share.
Yeah, no, I love that. I'm glad you did.
Okay, our intro for these special episodes. Powerful people have powerful beliefs, but even more so, our beliefs hold power. Throughout time, there have been objects that people have placed their beliefs in. This is our second episode of our Objects of Power series.
Yes, it is. And today we are doing the Hope Diamond. Um, okay, so this I'm citing another book by J.W. Walker that I have, which I didn't realize it was the same author, but this is an author I threw back to
Our
our
cryptid stuff.
cryptids for Christmas
Yeah.
time. I cited him and his book United States of Cryptids. Well, this is Accursed Objects, strange but true stories of the world's most infamous items, and the Hope Diamond is like number one. Um, let's see. The place of origin is Kalur Mine, India. Its estimated value is 200 to 350 million. Notable owners are King Louis XIV, King Louis XVI, Henry Philip Hope, Pierre Cartier, and Evelyn Walsh McLean, which I have a story about her later. And current location is the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in Washington, D.C.
Okay. It did
Um,
not sink to the bottom of the ocean on the Titanic.
no, that is not even. Speaking of, I was hoping you would bring Titanic up because they say in the Titanic that the Hope Diamond was chopped to, and or the crown diamond of King Louis XVI was chopped to, and one was the Hope Diamond and one was the Heart of the Ocean, and
Okay.
that never happened. It's the Hope Diamond is the crown jewel, as far as I know, and hopefully, um, you,
Yes. So James Cameron was inspired by the Hope Diamond and
yes,
added that piece of fiction to his Titanic movie. So, yes,
yes,
the cushion cut heart of the ocean does not exist.
no. Nope. You can get beautiful sapphires that look just like it that are really expensive, but no. All right. So J.W. Walker says it was ripped from the eye of a Cyclopean Hindu idol in India. It ended the French monarchy. It was the ruin of the members of the new American aristocracy, and the people who have owned and or worn it have been ripped apart by dogs, shot, beheaded, pushed over cliffs, starved to death, and drown aboard sinking ships.
But not the Titanic.
Not the Titanic. It has caused suicides, madness, and the death of children. It killed
Wow.
Rod Serling. It inspired the fictional Heart of the Ocean gem in James Cameron's film Titanic. It is the Hope Diamond, and it is cursed. Weighing at 45.52 carats,
How much, like, that's that's pretty
that's a
hefty.
large diamond. That is a gargantuan gem.
Like Jack says, you would have gone straight to the bottom.
Yes. The Hope Diamond is the world's largest blue diamond. It is the platonic ideal of a cursed object. It has an exotic origin and a history that spans centuries, yet it is small enough to fit in the pocket. To steal, to lose, to disappear. It is valuable enough to be bought and traded and stolen and rarefied atmosphere in the rarefied atmosphere of throne rooms and private jets. Many have owned it, and in the chain of um, provenance, sometimes reads like an expensive game of hot potato.
Mm.
And of course, tragedies have paralleled and entwined its entire timeline. However, all of the commonly circulated claims mentioned in the first paragraph of this excerpt, except for the Titanic bit, are unverified. But that doesn't matter. The real history of the Hope Diamond, including how it came to be considered cursed, is just fascinating. Its story starts a billion years ago, some 100 miles below Earth's crust. Primal forces crushed carbon into a hunk of crystal. It was a common process at the time, but something rare happened in this case. The element boron fused into the crystal structure, turning the gem a deep. Hold on just a second. A deep ocean blue. Eventually, volcanic activity forced the rock close close to the surface of what would one day be called India, where it was pulled from the ground hundreds of years ago by India's legendary mining industry. I'm sorry. India was once thought to be the only source of diamonds on the planet, and that's why pioneering French merchant named Jean-Baptiste Tavernier made it six made six epic journeys there in the mid 17th century. On one of those journeys, he came into possession of a heart-shaped 112 carat rough-cut blue diamond that came out of the Calore mine. The stone would eventually be called Tavernier Violet. Violet was a synonym for blue at the time. Contrary to the legend, he attained it not by stealing it from the eye of God, although he saw plenty of jeweled-eyed gods in the temples of India, but through the usual channels of trade. Tavernier sold the stone to King Louis the 14th of France. The Roman numerals got me when I was doing this, so I had to make sure I was right. Tavernier sold the stone to King Louis the 14th of France along with more than 1,000 other diamonds. But the large blue gem was obviously special. It accounted for about 25% of the price of the entire lot. Tavernier would go on not to be ripped apart by dogs, as some say, but to relax from his life of adventure near shores of Lake Geneva. He would later come out of retirement, but still lived comfortably into his 80s. So,
Oh.
Louis the 14th also lived a long life. Under his watch, the future Hope Diamond was cut down and refined into a more glittery, fashionable 67 carats. By then, it was called the French Blue and was considered an important part of the French crown jewels. Those jewels were passed down without much drama until the reign of King Louis XVI, who held the throne during the French Revolution, an uprising that eventually left him and his wife, Marie Antoinette, without their heads. The Hope Diamond is blamed by some for Marie Antoinette's death, although she almost certainly never wore it. She loved diamonds, but the French blue was reserved for her husband. It was set in an insignia for one of his orders and only removed once it was, or from its setting during that time for scientific examination. The French monarchy dissolved after the revolution, and in 1792 the French blue was stolen and lost to history temporarily. Now, some scholars believe that the French blue was used to bribe Charles Ferdinand, the Duke of Brunswick, Germany, not to invade France. Much of Europe was terrified that the revolution in France would spread to other countries, and had armies at the ready to help stifle potential conflict. However, it happened. The diamond surfaced again 2 decades later, this time in England, in the possession of a gem merchant named Daniel El- Eliasson. That's an interesting name. It's like liaison, but there's an E at the beginning. Anyways, it had been cut down again, this time to 44 carats, about the size of a walnut, possibly in an effort to disguise it from Napoleon, who would have wanted to reunite it with the French crown jewels. From there, it possibly came into the possession of King George IV, um, of the United Kingdom for the time, but in 1839 it belonged to a wealthy London banking family named Hope, and that's how it got the name that seems straight out of K Jewelers' marketing department. Thomas Hope brought the Hope Diamond into the clan, where after his death it bounced down like a game of expensive pinball to the heirs and contested wills and bankruptcies. From the Hope family, it went to a jewelry firm, which sold it to Sergeant Habib on behalf of the Sultan of Turkey, who then reigned into financial trouble and sold it to yet another jewelry firm. In 1920, Pierre Cartier got his manicured hands on it in Paris. I love this. I love how he writes. Um, and we mostly have Cartier to thank for the curse.
Oh.
Well, that's interesting. By this time, massive diamond mines had been discovered in South Africa. Diamonds had become far more attainable, and not just for the super rich. Within a few decades, everyone was expected to buy a diamond ring for their fiancé, a tradition that continues to this day. Because, diamonds are forever. The gems were becoming mainstream. Cartier wanted to sell his blue diamond to a member of the emerging wealthy class of the United States, and he knew that to distinguish the diamond in the market and command a higher price, it needed a story. So he marked the diamond up both in cost and with a curse. It wasn't hard. A few hmm, spurious, a few spurious newspaper articles. That's a weird word. I'm not familiar with. I sound dumb. News articles had already gotten the ball rolling, and the idea of the cursed gems was becoming more widespread due to popular novels such as Wilkie Collins' The Moonstone in 1868, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Sign of the Four in 1890. Cartier also gussied up its presentation, surrounding it with 16 small white diamonds and creating a look creating the look of the Hope Diamond that we know today. Cartier's story of the cursed gem caught the fancy of Evelyn Walsh McLean and her husband Ned of Washington, D.C. The McLeans bought it for $180,000, or approximately 4.5 million in today's dollars.
Oof.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Wow,
I'd
that's
wear
making my
it
head
too
hurt.
then.
Right? I would too. During her decades of ownership, Evelyn wore the diamond to countless parties. Sometimes she displayed it on her head in a tiara like aigrette, sometimes around her neck, and sometimes she even let her dog wear it.
Oh, no, I wouldn't do that.
She had it blessed by a priest, temporarily pawned it to gather ransom for the doomed Lindbergh baby, and talked freely and amusedly about its curse. When her 9-year-old was struck by a car and killed, the New York Times couldn't help but mention the gem in reporting the tragedy. Eventually, Ned and Evelyn's relationship ended in divorce. Ned wound up in a sanitarium, and another of their children killed himself. In
Mm,
other words, their lives ended exactly how you'd think the lives of people who brazenly owned a cursed gem would end.
wow. Um, a little bit of science behind the myth. I know that you said that Cartier kind of invented the curse. The diamond itself actually exhibits a bright red phosphorescence after exposure to ultraviolet light. It kind of has like a glow in the dark quality to it, and
Yeah.
with it being red, it has that sinister reputation. It adds to it. So that's just one thing that I saw about the diamond that I thought was interesting because it's blue, and then ultraviolet makes it shine red.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't know that. That's cool. It's actually really cool. Well, okay, so this more of Evelyn. Sometimes she displayed it on her head in a oh, sorry. I already read that. After Evelyn's death in 1947, the Hope Diamond was picked up by an American jeweler, Harry Winston, along with the rest of her jewels for about $1 million, roughly 11.5 million today. He toured the Hope Diamond around North America before finally donating it to the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in 1958 for a big tax break and the dream of kickstarting the collection of American crown jewels. And that's where it is today. From the mantle of the earth to the capital of the United States, the Hope Diamond is displayed in the Janet Annenberg Hooker Hall of Geology, Gems, and Minerals at the Smithsonian.
Huh.
It reigns by itself in the center of the room in a rotating case that allows visitors to stand mere inches away if you can buzzsaw your way through all the other museum visitors clustered around the small display case. Many believe the diamond to be the most important and most popular object in the Smithsonian's collection, making it more a lucky charm for the museum than a cursed object. Others think it has cursed the entire country by its prominent inclusion among the national treasures of the nation's treasures. While it cannot be denied that everyone who has ever owned the Hope Diamond has died, the Hope Diamond can sometimes seem less the direct cause of trouble than a side effect of it. After all, you have to be extremely rich to own it, to the point of taking that wealth and investing it in an ostentatious bauble. That's a level of wealth that comes with its own problems, whether those problems are born of politics or pro- profilig- prof- I don't know that word. Profligacy. Gosh, this guy just stunned me. In fact, Evelyn Walsh described her own troubles since buying the Blue Diamond in her 1936 memoir, Father Struck It Rich, as a natural consequence of unearned wealth in undisciplined hands. This was probably a dig at her husband.
Unearned wealth, she says.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It isn't surprising that any gemstone rare enough or large enough to merit its own name also merits its own curse. Maybe it's subconscious moralizing against greed, or perhaps fantasy retribution against the uber rich. Maybe by ascribing so many to it, stories to it, and retelling those stories, those of us who could never afford such a jewel gain a communal ownership of it. By that logic, by writing this entry, I hope I own the Hope Diamond. Hopefully, I can retire off that. That's funny. I like this guy. He's such a good writer, and he has is funny with it, like with his little tangents that he goes on about different objects and stuff in this book.
Yeah.
Um, so um, Evelyn Walsh McLean. I do have a little more about her. Like she was, like she was born poor, as
Okay.
far as I know. We find I have a little thing on from the internet here. They call her the Hope Diamond's most daring owner, Evelyn Walsh. She didn't just own the Hope Diamond, she made it a spectacle. By wearing the world's most famous gem without fear, she transformed the cursed legend into a symbol of American glamour and defiance. Evelyn Walsh McLean was going to live an extraordinary life even if she hadn't become the owner of the most famous diamond in the world, but it certainly brought her notoriety to a whole different level. The Washington mining heiress was quite fond of lavish parties and luxury, and nothing embodies extraordinary luxury like the Hope Diamond. Yet the Hope Diamond did more than amplify her visibility. It transformed her into a cultural icon by wearing a stone that others treated with fear. She turned the historic gem into a modern spectacle and helped embed it into American imagination. What made her story unforgettable was not simply wealth or tragedy, but the collision of glamour, mythology, and defiance. Okay. I'm not gonna read all this just for the sake of it's all I just kind of went into her a little bit.
Yeah.
But unlike many of her contemporaries, Evelyn Walsh McLean was not born into old money. Her father, Thomas Walsh, was an Irish immigrant who turned multimillionaire mine owner. According to the Washington Chronicles, he lost his first fortune in the panic of 1893 and then made it back and then some. When he opened the Camp Bird gold mine in Aure, Colorado, he sold the mine in 1903 for $5 million in 1903
Wow. That's a
and moved
lot
to
back then.
Washington, D.C. Yeah, where Evelyn was born in 1886. Okay, so I lied. She wasn't born poor, but she wasn't meant to be. I don't know. It just because of her father's like um roots, it
Yes.
was like she wasn't really meant to be famous or rich or whatever, but he made it big just by
Right.
hard work.
Yeah. Which is probably why she took a dig at her husband in her memoir, saying that his wealth was unearned
Yeah,
because she had a father that worked very hard for his
yeah,
fortune. So,
absolutely. Um, let's see. Their daughter ended up being their only child to survive into adulthood. As one brother died as a child and the other was killed in a car accident, Evelyn was in the car with him but survived, though she had a leg injury that would never fully heal and would later lead to devastating morphine addiction.
mm.
Um, let's see. Though she was undeniably privileged, Evelyn was also deeply guarded after her family's tragic history. Still, she had a rebellious streak, especially when it came to spending money. In 1904, she moved to Paris to study music, but when her father sent her $10,000 credit for her education, she bought a sports car instead.
Uh-oh.
Um, I just wanted to give you a little insight more about her because I think that she was interesting. Like, I really like that she was a rebellious woman in the early 1900s,
Yeah.
and it's just cool. That freewheeling approach to money would resurface again and again in her marriage to Edward Ned Beale McLean, heir to the publishing fortunes of the Washington Post and the Cincinnati Enquirer, back when newspaper truly were a gold mine. Her parents were vehemently opposed to the match, as was her good friend Alice Roosevelt, who recognized that McLean should or shared Evelyn's appetite for excessive spending.
Mm.
The relationship was troubled from the outset. Evelyn struggled with addiction and McLean was an alcoholic. Roosevelt reportedly dismissed him as a pathetic man with no chin and no character.
No chin.
Um,
That used to be an actual like um insult back in the day.
yeah,
A big one.
a big one. All right, they had four children, the youngest of whom Vincent Walsh McLean, named for her late older brother, was dubbed the $100 million baby by the media. He did bathe in a gold tub, so it was rather fitting assessment. But perhaps no other purchase demonstrated Evelyn's predile- predile-
Predilection.
yep, for the finer things in life more than when she became owner of the most famous diamond on earth, the Hope Diamond. And we know what happened from there.
Yeah.
So,
So let's see. It was a cursed object in myth,
mhm,
and then she took a hold of it, and it's almost as if the
this came
curse
true.
became true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like her. I think that I'm glad you sent that to me because I really like her story and how rebellious she was. I just love rebellious women and when they're not supposed to be. Like,
Yeah.
especially in early days like the 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, whatever. Like, in times when it's not heard of women to speak up or do anything rebellious, I think it's awesome.
Yeah. It I mean she was
It's sad to say
interesting.
that,
Yeah.
but it's true.
Yeah. It is true. She was a very interesting figure. Um I had hoped that Marie Antoinette had actually worn the diamond, but um no, you're what you had told us was that she didn't. It was her husband's diamond.
Yes.
Because her name did come up as one of the cursed owners because of the way that her life ended.
Right. Well, with her husband owning the diamond, and I mean you could consider it being like her close proximity to it
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
because they
Um,
say that they said or he wrote that in it being in the Smithsonian close to all of the national treasures of the country,
yeah.
like it could have doomed our country or cursed the whole country just from proximity. I mean, look where we are today.
I know. I'm like, well, that's not 100% false. Yeah, we. It's possible it has always been cursed, but I guess what I had heard is that it was stolen from a Hindu goddess statue, and that's where the curse originated from, was the theft of that, from the statue of Sita, I think is how it's Sita.
Cetas?
See, I'm not
I'm
sure,
not sure.
but um, yeah, and it said maybe an eye or just from the statue in general. It
It said
didn't
in the
say.
beginning of that it was a cyclopean, like so it was like a one-eyed statue, Hindu statue. I'm assuming like a statuette or something.
Okay. I don't know. I had pictured a large, like in a temple type statue, and
Yeah.
someone Indiana Jonesed it out of there,
Right.
is what I had pictured when I read
That's
that.
how I see it too.
um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I want to do a episode on this, but like where sometimes just the belief in something makes it real.
Oh yeah.
And I think that the belief in the curse is what made this one cursed
Yeah.
for sure.
Absolutely. Like belief in something is very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Like faith is a very powerful thing.
Right. Yeah.
And when you believe in something, you can give it power for sure. I believe that.
Yeah.
So, well, that's all I have on the Hope Diamond. Um,
Join us next week for another episode. We will be covering the Holy Grail. We post every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, trust
trust
no
no
one,
one,
question
question
everything.
everything. And if you want to send us your stories, we would love to have them so we can read them on the podcast. You can reach us at susfactionpod@outlook.com. Again, send us your stories so we can read them on the podcast at susfactionpod@outlook.com. And we also have an Instagram.
Yes, our Instagram is at susfactionpod. We have the Amazon Music, YouTube, and Spotify linked there in the profile, as well as a Patreon that you can find our Patreon only episodes that are once a month. This month's Patreon episode is going to be the true story of natural born killers.
Yes, and that one's going to be a good one. So you should be ready for it. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.